Hello there, my friends. Welcome back to Cloud Wars Minute, where if you give us just a couple minutes, we're going to give you some unique insights into the greatest growth market the world has ever known. One of the primary drivers of that greatest growth market the world has ever known has been Google Cloud. And as Q1 results came out the other day, there's good news and bad news for Google Cloud. The good news is revenue for Q1 was up 44% to $5.82 billion. That puts them on a track this year that I'm estimating will finish at $25.8 billion in revenue for Google Cloud. They also in Q1 reduced the amount of the loss that they experienced in the year earlier period. So that trend line, while the revenue is going up, the loss is also diminishing. But the bad news for Google Cloud is when you have success like that, your executives are going to be highly visible and people are going to notice how did they get to these real high growth rates quarter after quarter after quarter. And in the case of Google Cloud, one of the primary drivers of that was President Rob Enslin. Rob Enslin is leaving. He's going to be going over to UiPath to be co-CEO over there and run the global field operations for them. So there's a couple things that really come to mind here. One is, nobody's irreplaceable. As a dear friend of mine's father used to tell us, he said, the cemetery is full of irreplaceable people. But there is no doubting that Rob Enslin was a huge part of the phenomenal growth that Google Cloud has experienced over the last 3 years. Remember, Thomas Kurian came aboard as CEO of Google Cloud in January of 2019. And it seems like one of the first moves he made was to hire Rob Enslin because Rob started in April of 2019. So he was there almost exactly 3 years, during which time Google Cloud experienced phenomenal growth rates. Rob came from SAP, so he brought to Google Cloud, cloud native Google Cloud, a much needed understanding of the psyche and the quirks and the behavior patterns and the wants and needs of traditional enterprises. And Rob's very personable nature, his customer first attitude and all were, again, big drivers behind this. So again, nobody's irreplaceable. It's going to be a big hit for Google Cloud in the short term. But Thomas Kurian is really the person there who has been the primary architect of all the success Google Cloud's had over the last 3 years. And just like you went out and found Rob Enslin, who was superb for those first 3 years, I believe very confidently that Thomas Kurian is going to be able to go out and identify a new leader, president or whatever title they give, but for the global sales operations for Google Cloud. The company is now in a much more formidable place than it was 3 years ago when Rob Enslin joined. It has become, what I call the hottest major cloud provider in the world with this 44% growth rate. That's faster than anybody else. They're on an arc to hit, as I said, over $25 billion in revenue this year. That'd be a pretty plum job for some of the world's top sales leaders. So we'll see what goes on there. We'll keep an eye on that. But good news and bad news for Google Cloud. We'll check in probably sometime next week with a little more details about their Q1 performance. Thanks for being with us here on Cloud Wars Minute, and I hope you have a fantastic day.